Hi there. How's it going? Today's topic is Gaijin, foreigner, Gaijin. Um, the word Gaijin, I think a lot of foreign people, a lot of people from other countries don't have a very good feeling about that word. Uh, I think even people who can't understand the kanji of the word Gaijin, which, the kanji means outside person, not inside person, outside person. But I think even people who don't understand the kanji, if they come to Japan and they hear the word, I think they can feel um, kind of a negative feeling about that word. And now maybe a little different, but when I came, which was many, many years ago, the very end of Showa era, uh, there were very, very few foreign people, especially in the area where I live now. But I think all over Japan, even probably in big cities, there were not so many foreign people. And especially in this city where I live, uh, where foreigners were very, very few and far between, I stood out. Medatsu. Medatsu. I stood out. And everywhere I went outside, from morning until evening, until I came home, everywhere I went, I could hear as I passed by any people, Gaijin, Gaijin, Gaijin. I could hear it. And if I was approaching someone, like on the street, often they would not look at me. And then after we passed, then I could hear Gaijin after they passed, and it was safe. Anyway, at that time, I heard the word how many times a day? Many, many, many times a day. And it never gave me a good feeling. The feeling was always a sad feeling because the message was, you are different. You are not a member of our group. You are outside of our group. And even though sometimes people were very kind to me or uh, treated me like I was special because I was different, it was not a very good feeling. And I'm thinking about a few other friends. I had another friend from the United States who lived in the same city. The constant staring and whispering behind, finally, it gave her so much stress that sometimes she would start crying and she would run back to her apartment to get inside and to escape from the eyes all around her. Um, there's also a famous story from this time of a young man who he was learning Japanese. He was hearing people say Gaijin, Gaijin all day. And he wanted to say, I am not a foreigner. I am a human being. That's what he wanted to say. And so he tried to say it in Japanese, which he was just learning. And he said, Gaijin janai, ninjin desu. That was his mistake. And of course, everybody laughed. But yeah, and there's another true story. This is from my life. I was flying from Narita to San Francisco. And on the airplane, there were many American people and many Japanese people, of course. And when the plane landed in San Francisco, and we all got off the airplane, and we were walking through to the immigration, I guess that's where we're going, to the immigration, I could hear a Japanese woman walking behind me, and she was looking around the people in the airport, and she said, "Wow, gaijin bakkari, gaijin ippai," or something like that. And I remember thinking, what? We are in the United States now. Now you are the gaijin. You are the foreigner. All of these Americans that you're seeing, they are not the foreigners now. But I think the thinking, especially, I don't know, especially, but in Japan, is there's Japanese and there's not the Japanese. The world is divided into two types, Japanese and not Japanese. And the Japanese are Japanese and the Gaijin are Gaijin. And so whenever I teach the word Gaijin in my class, it's often translated to foreigner, but I often teach in my classes to say people from other countries rather than saying foreigner, to say people from other countries, because that's a much more neutral word, not a negative. I would like to speak English with people from other countries rather than I would like to speak English with foreigners. I always teach to use people from other countries. It's longer, a little bit more difficult, but the feeling is a little bit nicer. Those negative experiences were many, many, many years ago, over 30 years ago. And now there are so many foreigners, I use the word foreigners, there are so many people from other countries in Japan now that I never hear the gaijin, gaijin anymore. Never, never. And people don't stare. Yeah, I'm just a normal obasan, which is wonderful, which is really, really nice to feel like just a normal ningen doshi, a normal fellow human being. It's really, really wonderful. And even sometimes when I'm walking around town, some Japanese person will come to me and say, "Do you know where something something hospital is? Do you know where the post office is? Do you know where doko doko is?" And they'll ask me in Japanese. And they just assume that I'm from here and that I know the area and that I speak Japanese. So the mind shift has been amazing. The attitude, the thoughts towards people from other countries that you meet in Japan has changed a lot. And it's really, really nice. It's so comfortable now to live here. Those were exciting times. I'm glad I could experience that time because it's really interesting. It's a part of history, but I'm also very happy to be more invisible now. Last thing I'm going to say, more invisible now. I have lived here for so long now, I forget that I look like this. I'm very tall. Even in the United States, I'm a little tall. And I forget. All around me are mostly Japanese people. And I forget that I look like this. And sometimes when I'm walking, like maybe in front of the supermarket with the big windows, and I see my reflection in the window, and I think, oh, big gaijin obasan. Who is she? It's me. It's me. It's really funny. And then I laugh. Oh, that's me. And my sister-in-law, who lived in different countries in Africa for many, many years since she was young, she said she had the same experience. She's Japanese, but she lived in African countries for, I don't know how many years, over 20 years. And she said the same thing. She would forget that she looked Japanese because everyone around her looked like the country she was in. And she said the same thing. If she saw her reflection in a window, she would be surprised for a moment, like, oh, that's right. I'm Japanese. Oh, I look like this. That's right. So it's really interesting. Maybe if you have lived in another country for a long time, I wonder if you have had the same experience. Anyway, it's all part of history. Attitudes change in all countries towards other people as history goes on. So it's very, very interesting. I hope you all are having a good day, good week. Take care. God bless you. See you next time. Did I say this one? I can't remember. Tap the CC button if you want to see English at the bottom of the screen. You can see what I'm saying. Okay, everybody. Bye-bye.